everybody, to another episode of the GreeneScene Podcast. I'm here, Shelly, your host, along with Pam. You're the president and CEO of Direct Results and the editor of the GreeneScene magazine, Bret Moore.
Good morning.
I forgot to say hi.
Oh, good morning.
Good morning. And our special guest today is Dave Baily of the Baily Insurance Agency. Hello, Dave.
Hello. Privileged to be with you this morning. Yeah, excited.
We're looking forward to learning a little bit today. Today ought to be a really good one for you. Obviously, insurance is one of those topics that is a challenging one for people all through their lives at different stages of their lives. And there's so many things to learn about that. And I'm sure you'll entertain us with a few stories too.
I will do my best.
Well, all right. How about we just get started? Dave, I'm going to ask you how you ended up in this profession, in this job with this agency. What brought this about in your life?
Yeah, I suppose for a lot of people, they would think it was inevitable, right? So I'm fourth or fifth, depending on how you count, generation Baily to be involved in the Baily Insurance Agency. It goes back to 1880. Actually, William Randolph started it, but a couple of great uncles joined in that pretty early on in that first decade, and then grandfather, father and uncle, and then myself, two brothers and cousin actually have been involved in the agency as well. But yeah, I did not anticipate or plan on jumping into the agency. I kind of helped out as a kid. You know, you get roped in to odds and ends. But I was studying medicine. I was planning on kind of heading in that direction, going pre-med. And my wife and I took 3 years. I guess I took 3 years to do college ministry in Pittsburgh, and we had two kids. And when I was ready to go back into the workforce or, finish up pursuing medicine, I'm like, I'm not going to see these boys for 7 years if I go the medicine route. And so I started talking with my dad and said, what do you think about me joining the agency? And he was like, sure, come check it out, in his, laid back way. No, he didn't try to coax me in any way. If anything, he was almost a little hesitant or resistant. But yeah, no, once I jumped in, kind of saw myself being able to be a doctor of risk, or helping people manage, a doctor for businesses managing risk and diagnosing and hopefully avoiding, unhealth on that front. So yeah, it's been a great fit. And the other reason is when we were working for that college ministry organization, a big part of it was all of life matters to God. So art matters to God, science matters to God, business, insurance matters to God. And how do you do that in a way that truly honors and glorifies him? And so that, to be able to go into a family business, that just seemed like a great fit, to be able to exert influence and to impact an organization in a way that truly could make an eternal difference. And so it's, that's a pretty high bar to try and, honor God with your work, and to love your neighbor as yourself, to do that day in and day out. And, but it's been the absolute most rewarding thing that I could have ever dreamed of doing. And it gets me up every morning to keep striving to be better and push to be better for our clients, for our team, and for our community.
See, he knew all along.
He did.
That was the plan.
He did.
You just didn't know it yet.
That's right. He just didn't clue me in until I needed to be clued in.
Of course, it's a perfect fit.
Is there a possibility of a sixth generation Baily?
We actually, so at this point we've got 4 Baileys employed.
For sixth generation Baileys?
Yeah. So this
Nice. Next
generation is kind of sticking a toe in the water and exploring it, and it's it's been a lot of fun. Again, no guarantees. We're not pushing anybody, but. And we don't want to, as the business has grown, you can't just hand over the keys to, the keys of, it's a Ferrari.
Absolutely.
And you want to make sure that, you're setting people up for success and putting them into a role that makes sense. But yeah, there's more than ample roles that people can jump into. And so, yeah, we've got a few people, particularly, and maybe we'll get into it a little bit later. We have a startup that, on the health insurance side of things, that they've jumped into more consistly. So
great.
So it sounds like the future is bright.
It does. Maybe a 200th anniversary. I won't be around to see that, but I'll be looking down.
There'll be a Baily there.
There'll be a Baily there.
That's right.
Just out of curiosity, how long has the business been at its current site? Do you know?
Yeah, that's a great question. I was just actually, it's been kind of fun. I've had the opportunity to talk with and interview my grandfather a little bit, who's alive at 98 and still pretty doggone sharp.
Wow.
I think it was either 38 or 39 was when we moved into. Actually, First Federal owned the building, and I think they had it built, but they were moving up to their current location, and so we ended up taking it over after they vacated 55 South Washington Street. So yeah, we've been there, I think, since like 39.
So that's coming up
on
on
100
100 years.
almost
there.
100
Fantastic.
years.
Yeah.
Great.
So let's move on to the insurance part of this. What kind, a key question I think is just for everybody, because all of us at any stage in life can relate and need
Right.
the need for. But some insurance maybe is more important than other insurance. There's so many insurances. I mean, you can insure so many things.
You can insure almost everything.
So what really is, at least through your experience and in our community and the lifestyles that we lead here, what should be our main concern and focus when it comes to shopping insurance?
Yeah, great question. And the reality is, as you might expect, it depends, right? And it really does need to be a personal solution for each individual, each business, each nonprofit, however you're structured. But obviously, there are a lot of people driving on the road. That's probably one of the areas where most people are going to interact with insurance and need it, right? You're not going to be able to get a car loan without it. You're not allowed to have a license or have a registered vehicle without it. So, auto insurance, home insurance is one of those things. Again, you're not going to be able to get a loan. Yeah, and again, it's a bit of a necessary evil, and it's odd, right? So we sell a product that, in many cases, not always, but in many cases, people don't even want the product. They're required to purchase it, right?
Yeah.
And we try to help them navigate. Here we go. As I'm getting choked up just thinking about insurance. We help people navigate extremely complicated products that touch their everyday lives. And again, as I said, in many cases, we sell a product they don't want, but they're required to buy. But what is worse is actually when you use the product, you sometimes actually can get punished for using the product that you just purchased, right? Your insurance rates go up.
Yeah.
That is a frustration.
And so it is a bizarre industry, and our role as an independent agent is to represent clients coming to us and help them find the best fit, whatever product that might be. And help them navigate a very complicated system, and then when they use it, when they need it, when the claim time comes, to be an advocate for them. And that's actually one of the biggest reasons we're an independent agency. We're not beholden to any one insurance company. Our job is to be an advocate for our clients, to help them navigate and use these products effectively, or to know how to manage risk and avoid using them in the first place. So
I think that's really interesting. It reminds me when I first learned we were going to interview you of a story I told Vicki about the other day. The independent agent becoming an advocate for their clients is so powerful and unique, I think, to big corporate company, that's not no choices but their own product, and that's that. When I was, this a long time ago, but when I was in high school, we first moved to the area, and my dad had gone to the local car dealership and was shopping around, and back then the dealers did this kind of thing. He said, take it home for a test drive.
Yep.
It was a pickup truck. He took it home, and my brother, who was always kind of a rebel in the family, convinced my dad to let him drive it down to the mailbox to get the mail. We live in very rural down Gravel Road. But like Matt always did, he drove on past the mailbox and went to go visit a buddy and show off this truck, and him driving it. Wrecked it.
Ooh,
Wrecked
yeah.
it. We didn't even own it, We didn't even own it. But my dad's insurance agent was an independent, helped him navigate through that and got that vehicle covered so that he wasn't out the money of that purchase. And it was just, you felt like this is such an important thing to have somebody who can work with you, knows what to do, can work with the suppliers and make things easier for you.
Right. And it's, again, there are some coverages you can't buy, right? I mean, flood or earthquake coverage is one of those things that typically for the typical homeowner you can't really buy, and flood insurance is a very imperfect product, right? Mm-hmm. Water is usually one of the things that makes an enemy, makes a client hate their agent. it's a nationally governed program, and you can buy it in the independent market. But yeah, and we kind of have some different business units, I guess. So we have kind of the personal insurance unit. We call it personal lines. So that's the home, auto, life side of things. We have a business, kind of a commercial insurance where workers' compensation, auto, general liability, cyber liability, the excess or umbrella coverage. Countless other coverages, inland marine, equipment, and then so that's a second business unit, the business insurance, and then there's the kind of the medical insurance side of things, the group health, the voluntary, that you see the duck on TV, Aflac. We have countless products. The duck is not inexpensive, as you might imagine, but yeah, so there are countless products on that side of things, on the voluntary or supplemental side. But yeah, it is mind-bending, and the increasing complexity of each of those areas, you really need to understand, one, the industry and what's going on. But then again, as an independent agent, we've got dozens of companies offering dozens of products. And so, it's quite a challenge, but also a reward to help people navigate that.
That's interesting. And you mentioned that's another thing. The world is so dynamic now, and everything we do is changing from year to year, month to month even, that there's risks out there that weren't there 10 years ago, that weren't there 5 years ago. And you don't even realize it until it happens sometimes.
I never even thought about cyber coverage. Can you explain a little bit about that?
Yeah, that's probably one of the fastest growing areas of claims that we see, one of the fastest growing areas of insurance. And it is starting to stabilize. Anytime you have something new like that, as you might imagine, the price tends to be a little prohibitive sometimes. It can be a little expensive, but... So yeah, if you end up, it come 90% of all claims come back to human error, right? As you might imagine. But yeah, if you end up being compromised with your email, or if your data gets compromised, or if you send on a malicious link unknowingly to a client or to someone else, and it causes damage to them, passing on a virus or malware or ransomware, all those, or if someone phishes, the PH fish, phishes your email, and we actually had some of the more interesting and bizarre claims we've encountered actually have been on that side of things. We had someone impersonate my brother's email, and instead of an L, they used a capital I. So it looked like it was coming from, T. Baily at bailyinsurance.com. If you literally couldn't tell by looking at it, and a client's email had been compromised, and they knew that, and they knew that the insurance premium was coming due, and so they impersonated my brother's email, said, "Oh, we need you to wire your coverage is going to cancel. We need you to wire this premium so that you don't have a lapse in coverage," and they were literally ready to pull the trigger and make that. Make that deposit. But by God's grace, they picked up the phone, called our account manager and said, "Hey, I'm getting ready to transfer this money over." And she's like, "What money? What are you talking about?" And it's the creativity of criminals is mind-bending.
It is mind-bending. And we just recently got scammed at Direct Results out of $4,000. So we're particularly sensitive to that right now. But with Shelly and I, throughout our career, we feel like Job. We've had everything happen to us. But one was we had all our files attacked by a virus, and it wiped out all our files. And thank God we had cyber insurance because it helped us recover some of them. Now, we didn't get all of them back, but we got part of them back. So that we've actually used our cyber insurance before.
Yeah. I mean, you're right.
But it's really scary nowadays with all the creativity of the scam artist.
Yeah, and the ability with AI.
And the ability with AI, it's very scary. If you have a business and you need cyber insurance.
Cannot recommend enough. Yeah, you definitely want to dig in on that area.
What are some other new and interesting type, like cyber insurance we just talked about? What else is new? People won't think about.
Well, actually, we took the boys who just got back from Africa deployment. We took them to the lake down to Deep Creek in Maryland. That's one of those areas. So you go to rent a boat and you think, you swipe your card and you don't think much about it. They don't worry about the insurance down there because they have your credit card number. But the reality is you typically don't have any coverage for physical damage, right? You have liability. So liability is damage to someone else's person or property. But physical damage, right? You think of it like for a car, it's comp or comprehensive or collision. To protect your vehicle, or in this case, your boat. Typically there's no coverage for that. So if you're renting a $50,000 boat, you have you're on the hook for that $50,000 boat if you sink it or damage it or whatever. So again, there's just countless pitfalls, and that's where, again, we don't expect people to become experts in insurance.
No, that's why they hire you.
Yeah, it's way too complicated.
You don't want to be an expert, but that you do need to carve out time to interact with your insurance agent. And to really kind of allow them to diagnose, to discern, to craft kind of a program, an insurance program that's going to fit your needs. And so that's actually just like if you were going to an investment, a broker or something like that, one of the other things that people don't think about, but risk tolerance plays a role, right? Are you someone that buys them, the warranty on a appliance that you buy, or you're like, no, I'm self-insuring that, or essentially retaining that risk. If you're one of those people that's buying that warranty, you probably are going to want more insurance for your home and auto, right? And but if you're like, no, I'll self-insure as much as I can. I'm going to take a higher deductible and pay that claim if I ever use it. I actually just filed my first homeowner's claim that I've ever filed in the last couple of weeks. The power surge, and even for me, it's like that's not something I deal with on a daily basis. And so I'm asking my agent. I have to buy insurance just like everybody else, same price. It's like I don't get a deal just because I'm an insurance agent. But asking my agent, all right, how do we navigate this? What do I need to do? It's kind of
it's a personal decision.
It is.
Like you say,
really
how risk oriented
really
are you?
is.
That's
Well, my husband and I recently did use Baily Agency. We were talking about long-term care as we get older. I am turning 60 this year. I'm having a parade, by the way.
Nice.
Anyway, so we went in, we had an appointment with Dave to explain it. I couldn't believe how incredibly complicated it is. So thank goodness Dave walked us through the whole thing to have us understand it better, understand if we have a need for it, what's going on in our lives, our finances. So it was a pretty good hour, and definitely worth our time to go and investigate this long-term care insurance to see if it fit our needs. So I was really impressed with the knowledge they had and the information they gave us, and it really helped us make a decision on what we wanted.
Yeah. But you couldn't have done without that information.
No, I thought it was you want long-term care, they give you a policy, you sign your name, you leave. But it is not that simple at all.
Yeah.
Is that becoming a more popular type of insurance now that people are living longer?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, that's one of those underutilized coverages that a lot of people just don't realize or don't think about it until it's maybe too late. Again, we were talking about my grandfather at the start. We were fortunate enough to help kind of care for my grandmother in the home, but like you can be that flexible. You can get coverage to provide care in home. It doesn't have to or if you want to be in a facility, then there's that resource as well. But it's that flexible. There are so many different resources, and sometimes you can combine it with life insurance and kind of two birds with one stone, so to speak.
Lots of options
there. There is no shortage of options, but it just comes down to really taking the time and allowing an agent to kind of help you navigate that.
And obviously it's better for younger people to look at it because it's cheaper at that time.
It is definitely,
rather than wait really late like Pam did.
Well, ladies, it's way more expensive for women than it is for men, FYI, because we tend to live longer.
Right. But you get the benefit on, I think, auto insurance and life insurance,
okay.
right? So women save money on life insurance and auto insurance.
Well,
safer drivers typically, and they live longer. So
if you're interested in learning more about this, give Dave at the Baily Agency a call, and he can set you up a meeting, and you can learn all about long-term health insurance and any insurance, actually. They can give you a quick rundown on what your needs are. And give you all the options. There's so many options. It blew my mind how many options there were.
So I had this burning question, Dave.
Yeah.
I just know that as long as you and your family have been in this business, there's got to be some stories to tell about the strangest thing that you've ever insured or had a claim on. I don't know if
asked to be insured
or,
on.
or asked to be. Yeah, I mean, I know I'm putting you on the spot there, but
Yeah, far more mundane requests than the exciting. But I mean, you hear of, actually, I've not personally worked on this, but you hear of body parts being insured.
Yes, right.
For certain actors or dancers or
voice or whatever,
or
yeah.
voice, right? I've said that you can insure a burning building for the right price. It's it all comes down to help them navigate anything you can imagine. People are insuring. I'm trying to think if I have any good stories. More so probably on the claim side. Where you encounter just some off the wall stuff.
like what
You
they've tried to
anything?
claim.
On the health insurance side, right? People expect to. It's expensive. Health insurance it's usually
Yes.
A business's number 2 expense, right behind payroll. For most
Absolutely.
people, it's almost always the number 2 people expense. And so because the employer is paying for it, right? The employees typically don't have a whole lot of discretion over what product they're buying. They're getting kind of a boilerplate product. But they also tend to have a fairly high expectation that everything is going to be covered. But yeah, we had again, without betraying anything, we had one employee who was trying to file a claim on a liver that was no longer functioning, but they were still actively drinking, right?
The liver was still
yeah.
there. Actively drinking. Yeah.
So like those things are kind of hard to navigate. You can't, you try and advocate for your client as best as you can, but unless you're addressing some of the active, ongoing root causes of the disease, the problem, then your hands are
that kind of fit
tied
the
at
bill.
that point. Yeah.
Question.
So
Well, talking about claims makes me think of a story I was told when we first moved here, back up in the hollow we were living, and there was a neighbor man that had lost his driver's license, and he drove a wagon with 2 mules, and that's how he got around. And he was, the story goes that he went into his insurance agent's office. He got in an accident with his wagon, and his agent, and he was wearing a sling on one arm and a bandage around his head and walking with a cane, and his agent said, "Now, Dan," he said, "I've got a report here from the state police, says at the scene of the crime or scene of the accident, you said you were just perfectly fine. Now you come in here trying to make a claim." And Dan said, "Well, I can explain that." And he said, "I was going around this curve, and in come this young whippersnapper, and he just ran right straight into my lead mule and knocked that wagon into one ditch and the mule into another, and I was just laying there coming to when I saw the state policeman come. And he walked over and looked at that mule, and he saw that his front leg was just broke. His back leg was broke. And he took that leg iron off, and he stuck it right down in that mule's ear, and kaboom! He walked over to me. That gun was still smoking. He said, 'Are you all right?' I said, 'Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'm just fine.'" Oh, well.
Yeah. I can imagine having the same
You
response.
can see that happening?
Yeah, I can imagine that same response. It's interesting. I used to have a cartoon that I would give out to clients when we were working through workers' compensation, and it said I did not know the full extent of my injuries until I was examined by my attorney, right?
That's a good one.
Sometimes the doctor lacks creativity in coming up with the extent of the injuries. But yeah, so a gun pointed at me, I would think I would maybe answer the same way.
What's up with this venture product that you guys just started?
Yeah, so we just are rolling out a new product. As you might imagine, right? Any industry is rife with conflicts of interest and just inefficiencies or areas where it's not as effective. Obviously, the health insurance space, there's an enormous amount of cost, right? And many would say reasonably that it's not sustainable, right? Employers tend to pick up the cost for that, and the costs just keep going through the roof. And it's another area where it's a complicated product. You're kind of forced into one of 2 buckets. Again, good buckets, Highmark or UPMC in southwestern Pennsylvania. But the reality is, half, probably maybe more than half of the healthiest businesses tend to subsidize the 20% of the unhealthiest businesses. And so what we've tried to do is help people take back a little more control, a little more power, and we've built out a platform that's doing self-insurance for small businesses. Going back to the technology front, this is an area where now AI-driven data, it's kind of scary what all data is known about us and in what is not public but purchasable by these insurance companies to underwrite risk. And so we're leveraging AI, we're leveraging some amazing partners to navigate a very complex marketplace, and but providing self-insured benefits, kind of packaging it and wrapping it up with a neat bow to small businesses across the country that typically would not have access to that level of
protection,
sophisticated product. And so that's pretty exciting to be able to kind of give power back to small employers. And so typically over 25 employees is where we're seeing success, up to maybe 150, 200 employees in a space that we're really underserved. We're able to bring some additional resources to the table. So yeah, it's Fusion Health. Fusion Health Plans. We've built this out. We're selling it across the country through other brokers like Baily Insurance. It's its own separate entity. It's governed separately, but yeah, little old
sounds great.
Little old Waynesburg is selling products across the country, and it's pretty neat. Truly, hopefully, the goal is to transform lives, to transform the insurance marketplace and empower businesses and employees.
That's wonderful.
That is. Well, it's sure been fun.
It has. Thank you so much for being here and informing our Greene County residents about insurance.
My pleasure. My pleasure. Yeah.
Thank you, Dave Baily, our guest today, and thanks to Bret and thanks to Pam, and
thank you, Shelly.
And remember that you can always participate in the podcast, listeners, and you can send us ideas for topics, just information related to articles or stories or anything you see in the GreeneScene magazine. You can be in touch with Bret, the editor there, at the, let's see, the email address, Bret?
I believe it's info@GreeneScene
something, huh?
Magazine something. Yeah. Info at GreeneScene Magazine.
Never mind, Bret.
Okay,
folks,
never mind.
You can write to info@GreeneSceneMagazine.com, and you'll be in touch with us.
I knew
and
that.
let Bret know what the actual email address is when you write to him.
All right. Take care. We'll see you next time.